Je mbara jo ye da man buru rana menda la gamne ya da la ya mi. Okay, so we are covering verse number 63. Okay. Mm. So verse number 63 is on the what we call so there's something called the 18 types of mm, qualities that one has makes it how to say uh, perfect as a human being. You have the 18 qualities which makes you a proper vessel to practice the Dharma. Hmm? So the 18 qualities are divided into two, freedom and advantage. Hmm? So there is the eight advantage, eight freedoms, eight freedom. So this verse number 63 is talking about the 8 types of freedom that you you have. Especially to be born in a human realm, to have the 18 qualities or 8 freedom and the 10 advantages, right? So the verse number 63, which we are going to cover today, talks about the 8 freedoms. Yeah. Let me read the text in Tibetan first. Lopartawa tsinda tundroda hida nida nyawa kyawa ta kiwe kame pada takotu laror keda lenshin kubani. Sitting Hani Kaya Ruani, Gawa Sheki, Mikum Kyungi, Teta Tangtel, Company, Gawa Dobele to Bema Sus. So there's two verses, verse number 63 and verse number 64. They cover the 8 freedom or 8 non-freedom, so to speak. Yeah. So when you remove the non-freedom, then you have the freedom. So here it talks about the non-freedom or the lack of opportunity. Yeah. So these 8 to be free from those lack of opportunity is called the 8 freedoms. Yeah. So the first verse covers the 4 6 of them, and then the last one, 7 of them, and the last one covers 1. So, sorry, 7 of them is covered in the first verse, 63. Anyway, so I will just go by the verse, that's better. To be reborn with false beliefs, or yet, as animals or pretas or in the hell realm, deprived of Buddha's words, barbarians in borderlands or reborn dull and dumb. So that's the first verse number 63. Or born among, so that's verse number 64, or born among the long-lived gods of these 8 defective states that give no opportunity. You must be free, and finding opportunity, be diligent to put a stop to birth. So there's 2 verses, verse number 63 and verse number 64, that deals with the 8 lack of freedoms or 8 lack of opportunity. So the first verse, okay, we will there are 7 defective qualities, defections or defect qualities that cover in the first verse, and then 1 in the last verse. So the first verse, to be reborn with false beliefs, false beliefs. So the first line of the first verse, to be reborn with the false beliefs. So that means even when you are born in the human realm, you may have the intellect, you may have all the potential, the wisdom, and you have the intelligence and everything. But then you use your intelligence to the negative way. And so instead of finding the truth, and instead of following the Dharma and the truth, then you use that to very meaningless things, or to use that for harmful things, like destructive. Use your intelligence for destructive purposes. Most importantly, when you lose faith, okay, use your logic, use your intellect. You have the intellect as a human being, so using your intellect to scorn and to criticize the law of causality, karma. Um, so there are many intellectuals who criticize and scorn at the idea of law of causality, right? Karma, the concept of karma. So when you use your intellect, your wisdom, instead of using it for a constructive purpose, if you use that to destroy people's life, if you use that to make people suffer, if you use that to um, revoke the functioning of karma, then that is called the false. That is what is meant by false belief. You think you have a belief system, but that belief system is flawed. So it's called a false belief. Yeah. So it seems very minor, very small, but this is a very important part. Okay, the false belief. It when you the term itself doesn't mean much when you say false belief. It's close, but then this is in today's time they talk about something called misinformation and disinformation. So misinformation is not understanding what the real information was, what the real data was. Then disinformation is giving a false information, right? Um, if I if I know something and then hide that information and then share the wrong information, basically lying to someone, cheating, that's a disinformation. So a false view basically is holding disinformation. Um, even you, if you have no intellect, if you have no wisdom, and without wisdom, there are people who have blind faith and who falsely believe into something. That is one thing. But then here, when you use here, when they say Nagarjuna talks about false belief, it means someone who actually knows the truth. I mean, who actually has the intellect, but instead of using that intellect for a constructive purpose, but uses that for destruction. So when you use your intelligence for constructive purposes, usually we refer that as the wisdom. Okay, so just because you are intelligent or clever doesn't mean you are wise or wisdom is there. When you use that, when you have a intellect that you use for a constructive purpose, it's called wisdom. It helps people, uplifts people's life or your life. But then when you use that to destroy people's life, to suffer, to make people suffer, to make yourself suffer, etc., then it's called it's not a it's the term that we use in the Dharma is called Sherab Chelwa. Sherab means wisdom. Chelwa is like failed, okay, or flawed, a flawed wisdom. So when you use your intellect for making people suffer, to destroy people's life, to the destruction, when your intelligence is used to bring destruction, then it's called a flawed. Um, um, it's called a flawed wisdom. Okay, it's not a real wisdom. So, anyways, false belief here refers to a flawed wisdom. Wisdom and in a flawed wisdom is not a wisdom. Okay, remember, just use the term wisdom, but it's not a wisdom. So, a flawed wisdom is not a wisdom. Um, so it's like a false belief. The first line, okay, of the first verse, the first line of the first verse, false belief is basically referring to a flawed wisdom, a mind that is very intelligent but is used for destruction. Yeah, that is the meaning of the first line. So that's why it's very dangerous. So this is something that we must be wary of, we must be aware of, then we must shy away from it. So the next line, the second line, talks about the three lower realms, which is the animal realm, the hungry ghost realm, and the hell realm. So it is said that the animal realm, the animals are dull and too simple to understand the Dharma. Okay. Then the hungry ghosts are always looking for food. Uh, so basically, they are always hungry. They are always in pain. They are always hungry. They even though their pain is not as grave as that of the hell realms, but still they are hungry, always hungry. So looking for material things. Yeah. So not necessarily ready for the Dharma. So, and then the last one is the hell realm. So hell realms are constantly in constant pain and suffering. So because of the pain that they have to endure, they have no time and they don't have the potential to focus on the Dharma. So basically too dull, too occupied, and then too much pain, okay? Too dull, too much occupied, and then too much in pain. So these three makes one um, not free, okay? Don't lack the opportunity to practice the Dharma. Mm. Mm. So when you say animals are dull, so there are many animals, okay? Individually, there are animals who are very smart, right? But then if you explain to the animal like what is bodhicitta, if you explain to the animal like let's say your pet dog or a cat, you explain about bodhicitta, you explain about the Buddha Dharma, emptiness, they cannot understand. Of course, they understand love. You care for them, you cuddle them, they understand love, but not to the extent that human beings can understand, right? Even for human beings to understand what bodhicitta, we all understand love to a certain degree, but then when you are taught about compassion, when you are taught about the great compassion, right? Great compassion means compassion for all sentient beings. This kind of thing is very difficult for animals um, uh, to grasp. Um, so there are so many other things like meditation, you cannot teach to the animals. So therefore, they're considered dull in that case because they don't have the potential to understand deep human philosophical truths. Mm. Then the hungry ghost, okay? So hungry ghost, you may or may not have seen a real hungry ghost, but then the concept of hungry ghost is that the hungry ghost is always occupied for food. So for food and in life in the human world too, we have so this can the hungry ghost. You can think of a real hungry ghost, or you can think of that as a symbolic meaning. Symbolically, hungry ghosts are many of us are like hungry ghosts because we are always running after material things. Yeah, uh, we are not exactly like the hungry ghosts who are looking for food. We do find a lot of food, but well, we are working so hard for our livelihood, yeah, to pay the rent, to pay the bill, to pay our bill, to pay for the food, to pay to get a promotion, to get a good partner, etc. So basically, to gain uh, mm, material wealth or material things, whether you call whether it's a in the form of a position, form of wealth, form of name, or in the form of a partner. Sometimes, many a time we try to get the good partner so that we will look, we will be seen better in the society. If I get a partner from this and that that origin, maybe people will look down upon me. If I get a partner from this and that origin, then the people will look up to me. Yeah. So everything becomes materialistic. Yeah. So in order to pursue materialistic goals, you leave or you neglect your ultimate goal, which is the Dharma. Mm. So that is what the hungry ghosts are for. So you can think of a hungry ghost as a real ghost, or you can think of that as a symbolic meaning too. Mm. Then the hell realm, who are in constant. So the hell. The Sanskrit word for hell is narg. Narg means no time for joy. Okay, basically no joy. The term narg means no joy. The meaning of hell is there is no joy. So when you are born in the hell realm, then there is no opportunity to enjoy. There is no opportunity to a peaceful state of mind. So narc. So basically, what it means is when you are born in the hell realm, then you are in constant pain. Okay, when you are in the when you are in samsara, you are suffering all the time. Even as a human life, you have a lot of suffering. But then we have we suffer, we are in pain, and then we come out of the pain, right? Um, so there's a painful moment when we are sick, we are in pain. When we are depressed, we are in pain. But then we come out of depression, we come out of our sicknesses, we come out of this and that. But when you are born in the hell realm, from the day you are born till the day you die, there is no joy, no happiness at all. Mm. So because of that, you are in constant pain. You are in too much pain to practice the Dharma. Mm. So you are in too much pain to focus on anything else. Mm. If you have a little bit of pain, then you can use that pain to reflect on something deeper. Right? Usually in human realm, what we do is when we get sick, when we get neglected, when we get ignored, when we get basically when we go through low point in life, then we flock towards the Dharma. We will flock towards something meaningful, something that is that has to do with your legacy, etc. Because when your life is going very well, everything is flying high, then you just get distracted. When life is going low, then you start to focus on the most important thing. That's how we deal with life, right? Because in human life, we have the right amount of pain, even though when we go through the pain, we feel like this is the worst pain in the world, and uh, nobody else suffers more than I do. My pain is the worst pain in the whole universe. That's what we feel like. But actually, every pain is like that. When Tongkhor Rinpoche is going through a pain, he feels his pain is the worst one. And then anyone else, when you go through your own pain, you think your pain is the uh, undefeated pain in the world. Nobody can defeat that pain. Nobody can challenge that pain. The most painful suffering in the world. But actually, it's not true. Everybody feels like that. Okay. So the point here is that when you are that pain, that no matter how much pain you go through in the human life, all the pain that is in the human realm is a bearable pain. It's something bearable. It's something that you can uh, go through the pain and focus on other things too. But when you have the pain in the hell realm, that pain is too much to bear. You cannot focus on anything else, anything other than the pain itself. The pain is too strong for your mind to focus on anything else. Then, okay. Now, these three are from the lower realms, right? The animal realm, the hungry ghost realm, and the hell realm. Now, even if you are born in the human realm, so the first line, to have a false belief, that is a fault in the human life, okay? And then the third line, and the fourth line also talks about human life. So the first line talks about human uh, flows in the human life. The second one talks about the three lower realms, and the third line and the fourth line talks about flows in the human realm. Now, even if you're born in the human realm, if you are born in a time and a zone, okay, time and a space, a time that at the time there is no Buddha, at a place where there is no Buddha's teaching, okay. So that is the deprived of Buddha's words. That means when you're born. So this is the thing. You might think, oh, today, right now, are we one of those unfortunate ones? Are we lacking in freedom because the Buddha is not here anymore? Mm, That that's not the case. Buddha is here in this. this era. So when we say the Buddha is here in this era, what it means is each of the Buddha, okay, has a reign, okay, a time span, a lifespan. So the lifespan or the time span of the Buddha Shakyamunis, okay, right now is Shakyamuni Buddha. There are many Buddhas, tens of thousands of Buddhas. So Buddha Shakyamuni is one of them. And Buddha Shakyamuni's teaching, Buddha Shakyamuni's lineage, Buddha Shakyamuni's lineage last for 5,000 years. So about 2,006, almost 600 years now have gone. Okay, 2,570, 80, something like this. So basically, half of the Buddha Shakyamuni's time span is still left. So therefore, Buddha Shakyamuni is still here, and Buddha Shakyamuni's teaching are still here. So therefore, we are not lacking in that. So what it means by deprived of Buddha's word is when we talk about, instead of talking about just this particular world, but in eternity, okay, from the beginning of time, from the beginning less of the time. So there is no beginning of time in Buddha Dharma. In Buddhist understanding, according to Buddhist philosophy, there is no such thing as the inception. There is no such thing as the very beginning, or there is no such thing as because there is no beginning, there is also no end, because it's a circle. Samsara is a circle. So circle has no beginning, no end. It's just round, right? If it's a linear, then there's from point A to point B to point A. So there is a place from start and place to go. But samsara is like this. So there is no beginning, no end. In any case, so basically we are talking about eternity. Eternal beginning, eternal end. So eternal end, it's a there's no such thing as eternal end, but I'm just saying that so for you to understand, for you to imagine it better. The end is eternal, there's no end, and the beginning is also eternal. There was no beginning. There is a beginning, which was there for eternity. If there is an end, it is also there for eternity. So basically, like that. In any case, beginningless of time, that has been something called, so there's a concept of kalpa. Kalpa is translated into English as eon. Okay, so one eon, just for the sake of imagination, one eon is like 300 billion years. Just sake of imagination, okay? So one eon is like 300 billion years. So within one eon, there is something called the light eon, the dark eon, and the middle eon, okay? Light, middle, and dark. So during the dark eons, dark kalpa, which is also like last for 300 minimum, like just for imagination, 300 billion years. So during the dark eon or the dark kalpa, there is no Buddha at all, not Buddha, no Buddha's teaching, no Dharma, no nothing. So you can still be born as a human being, still be born as a preta, still be born as a hell ram. During those times, there is no Buddha, no teaching, nothing. So here, to be born, deprived of Buddha's word means to be born in a time or a space where Buddha was not there at all. That kind of kalpa, that kind of eon, this is what it's referring to. If you are born in such an eon, then even you may have the human life, it is not considered a precious human life. So anyway, so these 8 qualities, which I will still keep covering. So when you are lacking those 8 qualities, it's called a non-precious human life. So a precious human life is only if you have these kind of qualities. Yeah. If you lack in these qualities, it's not called a precious human life. So when you are born in a time and zone where there is no Buddha's teaching, then it's a human life, but it's not longer regarded as a precious human life. Now the second one, so this is also in human life, okay, human world. The 6 realms, the human realm. So the first one is where there is no Buddha's teaching, right? So basically being born in the dark kalpa, dark eon. Then the second one is to be born as a barbarian in the borderlands. So basically what that means is you are born in even though Buddha's teaching is there in the world, but you are born in the borderland. So border does not really mean you are bordering like okay, you are sharing border with this particular country with that particular country. It's not does not mean like that. So usually border is not in the center of the country. There will be the center of the country, and then there will be the border of country. Any country doesn't matter. So border here means basically you are far away from the central. And usually the teaching of the Buddha or the teaching or the wisdom or whatever the knowledge usually it's everywhere in the world, right? All the best mind, the basically the best mind, the sharpest mind, and the most skilled laborer, everybody goes to the capital, right? Um, they in the faraway lands, in the borderlands, don't people don't flock to those. There are less people there. The sharpest of the sharp, they usually try to go to the central. So basically here, meaning the barbarians in borderland basically means even if you are born in a place, sorry, even though the Buddha Dharma exists in the world, but you are born in a place where Buddha's teaching is where the Buddha's teaching is too far, where the Buddha's teaching is not available for you. So if you're born in such a place, when the Buddha's teaching is not accessible for you. So there are many countries in the world, even today, with the technology and everything, there are many countries in the world who cannot don't have access to the Buddha's teaching, authentic teaching of the Buddha. They don't have access to. So like that. So to be born in such a place, that means to be born as a barbarian in the borderland. That's the meaning of that word. Yeah. Okay. So then in borderlands, okay, that's the meaning. And then reborn, dull and dumb. So even if you are born in the human realm, have the Buddha Dharma, you are not deprived of the Buddha Dharma. The Dharma is in the place, okay, that you have the Dharma accessible for you. But then if you are born with disability, like you cannot see, you cannot hear, you cannot speak, okay, then you're also lacking in the freedom, because you cannot chant mantra anymore. Because you cannot chant mantra if you cannot speak. If you cannot hear, then also you cannot chant the mantra because you never heard the word, right? So you may make up some word, but it will not be, this is not discrimination, but it's real truth, okay? Like when a people who cannot hear, deaf people, when they try to speak, they don't pronounce the word as exactly as we do. So their pronunciation will be mispronunciation. And then if they cannot see and cannot hear, that means they are not accessible to the Dharma. If you have heard of, so basically to be born with disabilities like cannot see, cannot hear, cannot speak, then you don't have the perfect vessel, perfect tool to practice the Dharma. So in that understanding, your life is not a precious human life. So don't misunderstand, like it doesn't mean that your life is not valuable. If you're born as a deaf, if you're born as a deaf, if you're born as a blind, if you're born as a mute, it does not mean your life is not valuable. It's valuable, but it's not a precious human life. Because precious human life here refers to the ability to practice the Dharma, the proper facility, okay, the proper faculties to practice the Dharma. So when you're born as a blind, when you're born as a deaf or a mute, then you don't have the proper faculties to practice the Dharma fully. So therefore, so these are the thing. So that's why to have these disabilities will make you lack the opportunity to practice the Dharma. So these are called no freedom or no lack of freedom to practice the Dharma. The last one is known as the long-lived God. Okay, so this is also one of the. So if you were born as a long-lived God, a God with long life, or to be born in the God realm, then you are lacking in the opportunity to practice Dharma. So basically, the 7 points in the first verse and the one in the last verse, okay, the first line, or born among the long-lived gods, okay. So these are the 8 points, or the eight um, um, how do you call this thing? 8 defects, okay. It's a defect from the perspective of the Dharma. To practice the Dharma, you must be free from these defects, uh, and defective states. So if you are if you have any of these defects, then it is not the perfect time and perfect. You don't have the perfect opportunity and the perfect faculty to practice the Dharma. So what's meaning of the long-lived God? Okay, long-lived God means God, as in our human life, we think of God as something that is beyond all of us. God has special power, looks beautiful, looks handsome, magic, and all these things, which is true. God has all the faculties that we dream of. Okay, we want to be wealthy, have money, so that we can fly to like dream destinations. We can buy whatever we want, so we can take care of our loved ones. When they have money, we can do that. For the God, they have all of that. They can fly to wherever they want. They can have whatever food they want to eat, and they never separate from their loved ones, and etc. And that live and human for the human being, one of the biggest problem is aging. We grow old, and then we die. That's a big problem. And before dying, we get older, 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 older. As we become older and older, we become weaker and weaker. We are no longer handsome as we were before. We're no longer beautiful as we were like before. And then everything, our whole body system starts to deconstruct, uh, get weak like that. In the God realm, there's no such thing. Okay. So because of that, God is the realm of the God, the state of the Godhood is something that we all dream for. But from a Dharma practice perspective, from the perspective of Dharma practitioner, it is something to avoid. Because once you are born in the God realm, then you completely forget everything. Like it's like a child, like a 12-year, 14-year-old child, going to a theme park, like an amusement park. So they just keep playing from one game to another game to another game, just keep playing for the whole day. They don't have to eat. They forget the food. They forget the um, clothes. Doesn't matter. When we were small, our parents have to tell us to, hey, wear the jacket now. We're getting cold. Come and eat something, right? But when we get the time to opportunity to play, we forget everything. Don't have to sleep. Don't have to wear clothes. Don't have to wear warm clothes. Don't have to eat food. Nothing. Just a game that we get to play. That is sufficient. That's enough for us. Similarly, when we are born in the this is looking at it from we are looking at the child from a human's life. Now, if you look at the God realm, out of the sixth realm out of the sixth realm, the human realm is, the God realm is like that. When you are there, you just get completely distracted. Okay, no opportunity, no time to practice Dharma like that. So even though it's a long life and magical life, but it's something to, and the reason it's something to avoid from a practitioner point of view. Reason why? If the God's life is eternal, you never die, like right? After 10,000 years, after 100,000 years, still the life goes on, and then for eternity, uh, no matter how long you live, you can still live and not die, not death. And after death, there is no coming back to hell realm like that. It's okay, then it's good. We should all become God. But that's not the case. After a few thousand years, a few thousand years, then the gods die. When the gods die, they were reborn in the hell realm and have to go through all the suffering once again. So it's such a futile thing, to aspire to become a god. reflecting on that, one must make sure that if you are already born as a deaf or a mute or distant thing, or if you're born in a time when the Buddha's teaching is no longer there, then you cannot do anything. It's done, right? You are fixed, or you are fixed for life, so you cannot do anything. You cannot change anything. But right now, when we have all the opportunities, we must strive forward to practice the Dharma, and then to be born in a place and realm, to be born in a realm and an era, time that that does not have these flaws, right? That is very important. And if you're born in a place and time which is free from all these flaws, then you must use this opportunity to put your life into a meaningful purpose. That's important. Because once you are lacking in that, there is nothing you can do. Especially when you are born with if there is a birth defect, there is nothing you can do. So therefore, the last line is be diligent, because of these 8 defective states that give no opportunity, you must be free and finding opportunity, be diligent to put a stop to birth. So birth here means to birth in samsara, okay? Last line, to put a stop to the birth. If you are born in samsara, means if you're born out of your karmic result, good karma or bad karma, if you're born in samsara, out of your karmic result, karmic seed, then you will keep suffering. There will be moment of pain, there will be moment of joy, but overall, it's a wave of suffering, up and down, 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 but constantly suffering. Okay, like suffering comes one after. There is a moment of pause, but then the suffering is continuing until death, right? So I mean, as we all know, the moment we are born, we started to age, we started getting older and older and older and older, and then when we were kid, we have as a kid, right now, if you reflect, our kids, the childhood times were the best memory. No worries, no burden, no responsibility, so much fun. That's what we think. But actually, when we were actual kids, we want to be adult. Nobody wants to remain child. We think like, okay, if we are adult, we can go wherever we want. We don't have to ask permission from our parents, from our teacher. We are so much better if we become adult. But when we become adult, we want to be child. When we become, so this is the twist of life, right? So samsara is like that. So one after another, like that. Suffering never ends like that. So therefore, try to avoid these 8 flaws, in this life as in the future life, by focusing on the most important, which is the Dharma. Okay, next verse is basically now it's telling us to to see the flaws of samsara. Okay, so we just covered the last one. We talk about the God realm. In general, we think God is the greatest thing, right? To be born as a God, but from the Dharma point of view, actually God is not the greatest thing, because it's like flying very high up, and after some time, when the gas is empty, it has to come down. When it come down, then all the gas is gone. Then you cannot fly up anymore, right? For a very long time. So that's why we don't want to. We don't desire for the heavenly realms. So we already know that if you're born in the hell realm, it's such an undesirable place. But then the so-called heavenly realms, even that is also not something to desire for. Okay, so because of that, the bad in samsara is already bad. Even the good in samsara is also bad in nature. It's just bad covered with goodness. We have to understand that one. So to deal with that, we have the verse number 65. ponda chiwa tang da tang kaso dungen tumai june korwala ne kyozechi di nyebe shejang semba ze. So the verse, this one is O gentle sir, to make your disenchantment grow with this samsara, source of many pains, desires frustrated, death, ill health, old age, and so please hit its defect, even just a few. Like that. So, oh, gentle sir, that's a reference to the king. So Nagarjuna is referring, even though he's friend, but he's a king. So there is a royal, the customs, right? So he's calling the king. So your disenchantment, basically your what's it, you must grow disgust with the samsaric world. Even though you have to live in samsara, you have to eat food, live in a palace, rule the kingdom, etc., everything. But don't get attached to this life, to get attached to the king's life, to get attached to the power, to get attached to flesh, to get attached to food, etc. Don't get attached, because no matter how beautiful, how good, how nice seems, it's all basically pain. It's pain covered in joyful things. Pain covered in comfort. Looks like comfort, but when you indulge in that comfort, it actually brings you more and more pain. Yeah. So with this samsara, source of many pain, everything is pain. There is death, which is pain. There is health, which is pain. There is old age, which is also a pain. And then even when we are just thinking, oh, nothing is, I'm not in a, for example, right now we are thinking that right now, this current state, we are just talking about Dharma. Everything looks so nice and calm. Maybe you have no pain, you have no, you're enjoying life. But even now, uh, you have many desires in life that were unfulfilled, right? You wanted to do something, become something, buy something, get something which you cannot get. And when you ignore that, right, no pain. But when you reflect on that, oh, I'm unable to do this one, I'm unable to get that thing, I'm unable to be with this person. When you think like that, pain comes. Even if you are sitting on a very comfortable chair, having the good food, everything is nice. But if your mind reflects on something undesirable, immediately you are in pain. Mental pain. Mental pain is harder than physical physical pain. Physical pain, you can always try to distract. Mental pain, because distraction has to become from the mind. When the pain is in the mental there, then it's so difficult to distract the mind, which is already occupied with the pain, like that. So anyway, samsara is full of defect. And then we must grow. Uh, we must grow because of the renunciation. Uh, we must grow. We must learn to renounce samsara. Renounce samsara does not mean leaving samsara, leaving this world, leaving your family. Okay. Yes, there's a story of Buddha Shakyamuni who left his wife, leaving your parent, there are things like that. But that's for a very special person. We may not be able to do that, but we can take baby steps, okay, without leaving your partner, without leaving your parents or your daughter or children, without leaving your bank balance, without leaving your job. We can still practice the Dharma step by step, like baby steps. We can all take baby steps. Okay. So do you have any questions from this topic?
Các anh chị có câu hỏi gì không ạ? Thầy có thể trả lời câu hỏi cho mọi người ạ.
Okay. No question? Then, okay, we'll continue one more. So now this talks about how to say, what is the word for that? The evasive nature of samsara. Okay, how trickery, tricking, how samsara is so untrustworthy. Cannot trust samsara. Samsara is not reliable. Samsara is not trustworthy. Samsara is tricking. Samsara is evasive. Okay. So when we don't observe, we think everything in samsara is fixed and it is what it is. But then if you observe, then we will see how evasive, how unreliable, how cheating samsara is all the time. Not only painful, but also cheating. Okay. Samsara, the very nature of samsara is cheating. Like that. So the verse number 66. Pani punyi mani chumani so how evasive, how deceitful samsara is. Yeah. We learned that with the verse number 66. Men who have fathered sons in turn are sons themselves, and mothers likewise are daughters. Bitter foes turn into friends, and the converse is true too. Because of this, samsara is never sure. Okay, so at the first, when you read the first line, it doesn't make much sense. What does it mean? A father is a son, right? Daughter is a mother is a daughter. Yes, of course, that is how it is. So here, what we are referring to is how fixated our mind is. When we think of something, we think that is the true and the only truth, right? When we think of our mothers, we think of our mother as just a mother. We never think of our mother as a daughter. And our daughter, we think of them as daughter. So that's, for all the mothers, their child is always a child, no matter, even if they are 50 years old, the child is still their children, their son or daughter is still a child. But actually the child is already a mother. The mother is already a grandmother. Likewise, the father is a son, right? And the father is the son of someone else. And the son is also a father. What that means is basically nothing is fixated. Nothing is solid. From one perspective, it just looks like solid. When I look at my mother, I think of her as my mother and only that. But for my uncle, my mother is his sister. For my grandfather, she is actually his daughter, right? And for my father, she is the wife. So nothing is fixated. Okay. It seems too obvious, too simple. But we get so much stuck in that. Because she is my mother, nobody can say anything bad about her. Even if she is a bad person. She may be a very nasty person to someone else. But because she is my mother, if I heard someone talking bad about my mother, I will fight. Because she is my mother. Very important, very deep, very close to me, my heart. Right? My brother may be a very bad person, but because he is my brother, nobody can say bad thing about him. Somebody try to do something bad to my brother, I will fight. Maybe I will kill him. So that's how our mind works like that. Yeah. So therefore, our mind is too much fixated on things. So then enemies. When we think of, let's say, enemy. So someone who is harming my mother is my enemy. I want to kill that person. I want to destroy that person. Later, we understand that the person whom he is trying to kill is not my mother, but shares the same last name as my mother. So he was going after a wrong. The person he is going after is a wrong person. And we learned that actually the one person who wants to kill my mother is actually a good person, and I become friend with that person. So samsara is like that. It happens all the time. Big in a big space like countries, where corporations, family, relationship 101. When you are in a relationship with someone, you think like, this is the best person in the whole world. I can do anything for that person, that girl or that boy. And then you get separated. right? After separation, then my ex is the worst person in the world, like that. So nothing is fixated. But when we are nothing is solid, nothing is fixed, but we are so fixated on it. And that's why all the problem comes in samsara like that. Okay. So there's one question I see that okay, so before I answer the question, so I just talk about the positive side. So the negative side is also true, like so the father, son, all these are like positive side. The same thing can be said of the person you dislike, you hate, your enemy, or the people who harm you. When you look at the person who harm you, you you look at him or her from the perspective of someone who harm you. So therefore you hate that person. But that person who you hate is also a son, also a daughter, also a mother, also a brother and a sister. So from the perspective of a brother, from a perspective of the son, perspective of the father, they are also a very lovable person. They are a very good person. And many a times they are, in order to protect their children, in order to protect their culture, in order to do something good for themselves, they did this and that, like that. So therefore, because of that, what is positive can turn into negative very quickly. What is negative can also turn into positive very quickly, so randomly, right? And so nothing is reliable in samsara. Nothing is trustworthy. Nothing is reliable. Yeah. So the question was for the question that was asked is regarding the hungry ghost. So symbolically, hungry ghost is someone who is going after making money, material, this and that. So the question was someone who is going to a work, basically doing some work or job, or maybe seeking a business, whatever. So that person is not necessarily doing it out of greed or lust, but to survive, one need to work and one need to go to work and all these things, and not necessarily looking for promotion or to show off at this that, and just going for a regular work, right? Is that a harmful thing to do? Is that against the Dharma? So that was the question. So so thank you for the question. So that's a very important question, because I think we get confused that sometimes to be a Dharma practitioner means you leave everything, and then as leave everything and then go to the forest, go to the mountain and do practice, leave everything. There is a conception like that. Um, of course, there is a path. There is such a path that you can choose. Okay, Uh, as I mentioned earlier, Shakyamuni Buddha chose that path. Milarepa chose that path, and many teachers choose that path in the past, and also in today's time they do. Uh, is it an ideal path to choose for everyone? Very difficult to say, because if you begin in that path, like the extreme, it's a form of extreme path. Okay, all the practitioner, all the masters, when they start, they practice, when uh the practice that the path that they chose were quite extreme. Okay, like Buddha Shakyamuni, he chose the extreme path of not eating, not drinking, like very little food and drink for 6 years. Very extreme. Later, he learned the extreme does not work for him, etc. So, if you are going to choose an extreme path, then you should. I mean, everybody, you know yourself best, right? Your determination should be strong as a steel. Okay, your determination, your conviction, and then your diligence should be strong enough. Otherwise, you begin something extreme, and then in the middle way, in the middle of the way, you want to come back, then everything falls. So most of us, the safest part is to the safest part is to take the middle way. That's what the Buddha Shakyamuni. Before Buddha Shakyamuni came, there are many masters in India. Okay, Buddhism is not the first philosophy in India, even though we belong to the Buddhist ideology, but it is not the first one. There are other teachings before the Buddha, and also those teachings are also very sophisticated, very complex teachings too. So they are quite extreme. And the Shakyamuni Buddha came and he gave the teaching that is, how to say, adaptable for all of us. We can live a life of a normal human life and still practice the Dharma. Okay, so my point is, yes, just going to your work, going for a work, going to doing a business, doing your work, this and that, does not mean you are against the Dharma. Okay, this is not against the Dharma. You can go to do your job. You can pursue your um, business, anything like that. It's okay. But make sure that whatever you are doing, your duty, your human duty, okay, your job, whatever this and that, make sure that this does don't get too embroiled in that. Think of that as everything, or to get to work in my company is the most important purpose in my life. No, the company is not for your life. After 60 something years, you will be retired. You will get some money, maybe, um, or maybe not. And we are easily expandable, changeable. If I retire, if I cannot report to the work, somebody else will be hired. So basically, even though the company needs you, when you are working for them, if you are not there, somebody else will easily replace you. So don't think your company, your work is everything, because your work doesn't think you are everything for them. Okay. So y- your company, your corporation, your employer doesn't think of you as everything. So you should also don't think of your business, your employer, your company as everything. If you think that way, then you are failing in life. Your company is very important. It's giving you the salary. You can pay the rent, take food, put your children to school, everything. Very important. You are important to the company. The company is also important to you. Mutual benefit. You work for them, they pay you, right? It's just that. You stop working for them, they don't pay you. So you are not everything to them. They are not everything to you. So don't get stuck in there. There are more important things to do in life than just to work for a company or for a business or things like that. Using the money that you get from your company or from your business to pursue a higher goal, that should be important. Okay. Like an like an actor, when they're in a movie, they have to play that part. If you are playing, you may be 20 years old, you may be just 20 years. If you have to play the role of a father in that movie, if you have to play the role of a 100-year-old grandfather, you have to play that part. But it does not mean you are a grandfather. You are just 20 years young, 20 years old. So you can be a male playing a female role in the movie. You can be a female playing a male role. You can be a human playing a dog's role, right? Many movies, like fantasy movies, are like that. Human being playing alien's role, dog's role, etc. But remember, it is a role. It is not you. That's the most important. When you are doing a job, just regard that as a responsibility. It's your duty, yes, but it's not everything. Your job does not define you. Your business does not define you. That's the most important thing. You are important to them as they are important to you. You are not everything to them, and they are not everything to you. That is something you need to know. Otherwise, you get stuck in all this BS, okay? And then you lose your life in the pursuit of your career. Okay, thank you so much for the participation and the question. And we will stop here and do the dedication now, okay? Yewan di nyodo da lama sangye zhubgyun zhuwa jigyan malun ba ye sala ge bara shu chanju semju rembo ma ye banama ge gyuro je gewa nyamba meba kone kondo pe wara shu pe me ze ve je Resi Jime Gembe Boy Boy Cha Be de boy ma de choman ze sang wen dang kan jine gen ben zo gen zon gan ba lo son time be shai lo so one day lo son time be shai lo so one day Dembe ni bon zembe pe la jin na man do yu gen la jan ju pe lo san che ye jiang zo chu be jing yan zhou dian dan ba ran zhe wa de.
Thank you Rinpoche Lang. Cảm ơn Vũ, cảm ơn tất cả anh chị em, cảm ơn cả nhà
Thank
mình.
you, thank you, thank you,
Thank you Rinpoche La.
thank you, thank you,
Cảm
thank
ơn
you
anh
Chi
Vũ.
Wang, thank you,
Thank you,
thank you,
Rinpoche.
thank you, brother Wu, thank you everybody. Yeah.
Thank you.